The Department of Science and Technology, under Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India, was established in May 1971 as a nodal department to promote research development activities in new areas of science and technology, and to organize, coordinate and promote scientific and technological activities in the country. It explores new horizons of science and technology with a special emphasis on research in emerging areas through its network of research institutions and laboratories. The Department of Science and Technology, or DST, coordinates and integrates areas of science and technology having cross-sectoral linkages with a number of institutions and departments by supporting their surveys, research design and development. Besides, the DST also undertakes work on futurology and provides support and grant and aids to scientific research institutions, scientific associations and bodies. The DST's investment in the nation's science and technology ecosystem has increased by over 100% in the last 5 years, which has resulted in some of the impactful activities such as empowering the young and reversing brain drain to brain gain, bringing the best of global science and scientists to India under the Vajra scheme, empowering women scientists under its Kiran and Vigyan Jyoti schemes, popularizing science through schemes like Afsar, India Science and the ISTI portal, boosting innovation and startup activity, launching missions on new and emerging areas, international connects. DST today offers 50,000 Inspire scholarships at the university level, 4,000 Inspire doctoral fellowships to young students and 700 Inspire faculty fellowships to young researchers. As India navigates its way through these troubled times, DST has been playing a key role in catalyzing urgent and goal-oriented research to ease the challenges posed by the coronavirus pandemic, and even to find solutions in the form of vaccines. DST's team of scientists and researchers lead the nation's foray into the cutting-edge scientific research, its validation and its effective outreach, and make this country healthy and thriving once again.
Namaskar and welcome to India Science. We at India Science endeavour to raise the scientific temper of our society by giving to you scientific dialogues and conversations. Today I bring to you a candid and reassuring conversation as India battles COVID pandemic with the Honourable Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Professor Ashutosh Sharma. Many thanks for joining us today, sir. Namaste.
Namaskar.
As India battles COVID pandemic, sir, what is your perspective on how the Department of Science and Technology has geared up to take on COVID?
So that's very interesting. See, if we go back to March of this year, we had nothing. So there were no ventilators, there were no PPEs, there were no nothing, no mask even. So all of this happened despite many constraints of supply lines, of people not being there, lockdown and everything else. It happened with speed and it happened with the scale. So today I think, well, India as a whole has done great, and it's not just only about Department of Science and Technology. A whole lot of people, all the ministries, people, all the organizations working together. So what is it that we have been able to do? So a whole lot, because just look at the example of ventilator. It's a complex machine. It was all imported and it's got more than 150 different parts. You need half a dozen different kind of science and technology to put it together. Other countries may have done it, taken 10 years to make something good. India did that in 2 months. And this happened because, industry, academia, R&D labs, ministry, everybody was working together with a clear purpose, with very clear goals, and this spirit of, making it happen. It's the same with PPEs. Today we can make lakhs of them per day, and even good ones, innovative ones, the ones that have, for example, antiviral coating and stuff. You also look at repurposing of drugs. Whole lot of advances have happened there. Trials have happened. If you look at diagnostics, there was just one center in March that was doing diagnostics. There were no kits being manufactured here. Today, you are ramping it up to 5 lakh tests a day, and very quickly scale it to 10 lakhs per day. So all of that happened because now we got diagnostic equipment, we got kits, we got many different kind of tests, in fact, not just RT-PCR, but also different new tests are coming up as well. Some are already being manufactured, others are in R&D state, and all of that happened. I mean, it's really amazing that all happened within a very small time frame, and like I said, with all the constraints.
Here I'd like to ask you a sub-question to what you just spoke, sir. You said no pan-India crisis could be complete without the academia and all the institutions coming together as a whole, unified as a nation. Perfectly agree on that. But you also mentioned ventilators. So my question to you is, a lot of people are seeking answers, ventilators inside of hospitals or ventilators outside, and there is a possibility of getting this disease transmitted in hospitals. So what are the precautions taken to that?
Yeah, so certainly ventilators are of many different kinds. So the invasive ventilators that require round-the-clock doctor supervision in ICUs. But a whole lot of them you require outside of ICU, basically supplying oxygen, keeping, some of them are also called bridge ventilators, which means if you don't have the right regular one available, then you can be on it for several hours or a couple of days. So there are many different designs, and indeed they serve different functions, and all of them could be designed here, and they are entering manufacturing. Today we have the capacity to make 3 lakh ventilators per year. And I should emphasize that this is not simply reverse engineering. It's not copying somebody, but everything was designed from the scratch here, which might have taken many years somewhere else. So point is that we can actually do it if we have clarity of purpose and people are working together. Nothing is impossible. In fact, I think new ideas got into these ventilator designs. For example, Internet of Things, remote monitoring, artificial intelligence. So you require fewer doctors, to deal with larger number of patients.
So what about RT-PCR and the task force that was suddenly generated to kind of look at all these things?
RT-PCR is a very good example. Many different things happen in RT-PCR business. One of them is that, there were lots of RT-PCR machines that were being used for research purposes, for some other purpose, and they could be repurposed for testing for COVID. Second thing one needed was these testing kits. And there are a couple of different kinds that were being imported. But today we have many different innovative kit products right here in the country. So they use novel primers, they use novel, even some of them are what is called probeless. So what I'm saying is not simply about copying, but even making more effective ones than were available. And this is today is no problem because we have all sorts of diagnostic kits being manufactured here at a fraction of a cost of the imported ones, and equally effective and innovative. So diagnostics been a very interesting area. RT-PCR, you said, is one aspect of it. There is also this, antibody testing. And there are many other different platforms which are coming up.
Happening in Pune, a lot of trials are happening
Yeah,
there.
of course, there is a bit of confusion because you see what these different tests measure are different things. So RT-PCR basically tells you if you have, mostly if you have a live virus right now, if you're infected with a virus. The antibody test just tells you that you have been at some point exposed to virus, in response to which antibodies are generated. You may not have a live infection anymore. So it tells you about the history of, if you were infected. One may even not know whether one was infected. Yeah.
On this note, we are going in for a short break. Stay tuned. Keep watching India Science.
India Science is an internet-based science TV channel initiated by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, implemented and managed by Vigyan Prasar. India Science on the URL www.indiascience.in is a bilingual channel with content in Hindi and English. It can be accessed on any internet-enabled device. This video platform is dedicated to science and technology knowledge dissemination with a strong commitment to spreading scientific awareness, especially with Indian perspectives, ethos and cultural context. The India Science mobile app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store and Apple Store.
Welcome back, and we are in conversation with the Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Ashutosh Sharma ji. So you also mentioned in your conversation a little prior to what we are talking now about the scalability of the projects that are approved for research. So how does one fast track such projects, and what is the
so
funding?
you see, scalability comes because because we know that market demands these things, and there is a company, an industry or a startup which is working from the beginning with academia and with R&D labs. So while they are actually designing and making it, also the plans for manufacturing and scale up are happening in parallel. So that's how most of this stuff actually did not have a lag time for manufacturing and for coming in the market. About funding, there are several modes of funding. In fact, Technology Development Board of DST, they provide funding to companies for manufacturing indigenous technology. So they have provided funding for many different things, for ventilators, for diagnostics, and so on. We also provided funding to over 70 startups which have some relevant product which is very close to manufacturing. So this was very interesting that within a month we could map all the startups and their business, over 700 startups in the country, and then saw which of these could be supported in order to get a product out very quickly. So that's another mode of funding. The third mode of funding was for basic science or studies that I talked about. This is about the behavior of virus. It's also about repurposing of drugs and so on. Another, the reason I said this is a multi-dimensional problem is because it's not just about virus, it's about prevention, it's about knowing the behavior, it's about communicating as well. So special efforts were made during this time to communicate about COVID-19 to everybody. That's one of the key points in stopping the spread or reducing the spread, taking those measures. So Vigyan Prasar, for example, which is part of DST, has been making very strong efforts to put in different media. They've been making a 10 to 20 minute capsule every day, which is hosted on OTT India Science. It has all the information, the latest information about what's going on, where are we, where we need to be, how do we get there. The top experts in the area have been talking about it. There was a booklet published which is called COVID Katha, which is so simple, so compelling, even a little child can read and understand it. So there have been multi-dimensional efforts about containing COVID-19. It's also about working through NGOs. So about 30 mid-sized NGOs were empowered to take information to people, but also teach them how to make masks, how to use disinfectants and everything else. So you see, if you look at it, it's a multi-pronged approach
that we've
to
taken.
COVID-19.
You just mentioned children, and I believe as the DST is now looking at 50 years and the Golden Jubilee, a lot of these multi-pronged approaches will be coming into play, as in reaching out to university students, reaching out to children. So how do you look at all this, sir?
Yes, indeed, it's our youth which is the anchor of our future. And as you know, one of the strengths of India is its demographic dividend. Meaning we have lots of young people who are energetic, who are getting educated, who are aspirational. And so we need to empower these with thinking, with innovative ideas and so on. So one of the new programs that we started is called Manak. Idea is very simple. This is to reaching out 5 lakh schools, and each school does a competition in innovative ideas, and then they put the top 2 innovative ideas from each school in any of the languages of the country. You upload it on internet. Then so it aggregates to 1 million ideas, 10 lakh ideas every year. From there we select about 100,000 top innovative ideas. Then the 100,000 kids with top ideas, each one of them receives 10,000 rupees so that they can convert their idea into a prototype. Then they start competing on district level, state level, national level. Every time 10% of the crowd going forward, and they receive more encouragement, mentorship, rewards and so on. So it is basically these people who would be the fulcrum of innovation in the years to come. Of course, as you go forward in the college, of course, there are a whole lot of different programs and schemes in empowering people in colleges with research, of course doing PhD, and also beyond PhD. You see, 5 years ago there was no program. There's no clear career path. So either you go abroad and do what is called postdoc, or you keep hunting for a job here or something. Is very not a very nice situation to be in. So we started a new program called National Postdoctoral Fellowship. There are already about 3,000 of those, and so they they do continue to do research, independent research after PhD, until they get a job. Right. So this is about empowering the youth, and of course people who have started a new program called Nidhi. So we put a lot of emphasis and focus on innovation, and startup is an integral part of that. So what you do is, look, innovation is like a chain. I know I said it's like a pyramid, but now I'm saying it's like a chain. And so every link in that chain has to be equally strong.
So what about going out to the grassroots, sir? Sorry for interrupting
grassroots,
you. The farmers, you said chain. The millennials, I understand.
Yeah, but what I mean by chain is, so it's like, okay, you need to scout people, mentor them, you have to motivate them, you have to make a business plan. Then you need some prototyping funding, you need fellowships, you need seed funding, then you need transition to market. So this entire chain is covered under our new program called Nidhi, which means it's not sufficient just to give some money and forget about it. That would not work. You need mentorship, you need all of that, right? So it's all covered. And then in fact we made more number of incubators and startup companies in the last 5 years as was done in the last 50 years. So our capacity is doubled, which is great. And I think we need to be even do more. So we have to double our capacity every year now, because 10 times what we have now in 5 years is what we need to do, right? You talked about grassroots innovation. This is again broad basing the pyramid, right? Because a whole lot of ideas would come from farmers, they would come from people living in small towns, villages, children, right? Women, everybody. All the people who are somehow not touched by our efforts in innovation. So certainly As my friend, Dr. Anil Gupta, is a big champion of these grassroots innovation through National Innovation Foundation in Ahmedabad, where he said, look, the minds on the margins of society are not marginal minds. And we often make that mistake. You think, hey, this guy is coming from a small town, doesn't speak English, he can't be too intelligent, he has no solutions to our problem. That's not true at all. So some ideas would come from IITs and PhDs, and some ideas of a different kind, which we otherwise would not get, would come from grassroots. And so, of course, idea is to capture these ideas and have patenting on them, have mechanism for their incubation, and all of that is happening through NIF. But we need much more of it. We need, again, the scale is important. So to have 10x, to have 100x, and this is what we are working on. They already have something like few lakh ideas in their data banks, and a few thousand of those have already been converted into enterprises.
Yes, absolutely. And on that note, we're going in for a short break. Stay tuned. When we come back, we talk more about the vision of DST in the years to come.
India Science is an internet-based science TV channel initiated by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, implemented and managed by Vigyan Prasar. India Science on the URL www.indiascience.in is a bilingual channel with content in Hindi and English. It can be accessed on any internet-enabled device. This video platform is dedicated to science and technology knowledge dissemination with a strong commitment to spreading scientific awareness, especially with Indian perspectives, ethos and cultural context. The India Science mobile app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store and Apple Store.
Welcome back. You're watching India Science, and we are having a candid conversation with Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Professor Ashutosh Sharma. So, as we look at India turning 73, what are the challenges that you might want to talk about of the future?
Yeah, of the future, this is very interesting because future now comes at us faster and faster than ever before. 20 years ago, it didn't feel like that, it's rushing at us with some urgency. So there are huge changes which are happening. One of the overarching challenge of the all future, long after COVID-19 is not even part of the history, would be sustainable development.
Right.
So that, never before has this earth felt the constraints of sustainability. Sustainable development requires very a different kind of approach and technologies. Sustainable development, also being a global problem, is also related to climate change. So that remains a very overarching problem in which we need lots of science and technology inputs, but as well as policy, regulation and so on. Another big challenge of the future is the rise of intelligent machines or artificial intelligence, machine learning, Industry 4.0, IoT, robotics, autonomous systems, all of that. So basically it means that we need a different model of education. We need to have things which are, adapt to things which are changing very fast. We need different set of skills which are also very dynamic and adapt to changing circumstances and market and so on. This is going to have huge impact on everything that we do. Is manufacturing, industry, services, delivery of services, transport, health, energy, water, everything, right? So it is going to be a completely different society in a sense in 20 years, and we have to prepare for that now. And that preparation, we started a national mission last year with a budget of 3,600 crores, for next 3-4 years. So it sets up the foundation to build on. Another big technology challenge or disruptive technology is called quantum technologies. And we are in the process of starting a big mission worth 8,000 crores on these quantum technologies. Quantum computing, quantum communication, quantum devices, quantum sensors, quantum algorithms, quantum cryptography, and so on. Whole lot of things. But idea is that you basically be ready for the future, so that you're not in the danger of completely being swept away by industry coming from somewhere else. Other challenges which also relate to sustainable development and so on is about clean energy, electric mobility. So we've been working on designing, for example, charging stations and making standards for them, which you would see very soon coming up in market. So there are, you see, the point is that the future is always changing. So there are two aspects of this change: to make appropriate technologies that address the change that happens, but also in our education, in our training, in our skills, to create a base which, no matter which technology comes, you are able to deal with it.
And you're abreast
quickly.
of it, absolutely.
And in fact, so the new policy that we are evolving now is called Science, Technology and Innovation Policy 2020, would address all these points. It would, critical thing is, it would address connection between different knowledge systems, from knowledge generation to knowledge consumption. And so once you have this seamless chain, then your science and technology and its strength finds the outlet. And that's what we want to do. That's one aspect of the future, that we need good policies, we need dynamic policies, we need implementable policies. So part of the future is about that.
And on that note, many thanks for joining us today, sir. We wish you all the best in the years to come, and we wish to see a very bright future for the DST.
Thank you very much indeed, and with all your support, it will happen.
And to all our viewers, I'd like to assure you that hope lies perennial in the hearts of man, and necessity is the mother of invention. So we at India Science bring to you newer ideas. Keep watching us. We are indeed unstoppable. And it is my plea to all Indians today that let us stop obsessing over targets and goals, but focus on the process. Thank you so much for watching. Many thanks.